Stop thinking, I'm broke. This is what it does to your mind. What are you telling your mind? Stop for a moment. Think about the last time you said, I'm broke. Maybe you said it jokingly. Maybe you said it after checking your bank account. Maybe you said it while looking at a bill. Or maybe you've been saying it for years. I'm broke. I never have enough money. Money disappears too quickly. I'll never get ahead. But what if those words are doing more than describing your current financial situation? What if, through constant repetition, you're teaching your own mind to expect lack? Visionary leaders explain in How to Attract Money explores exactly this idea. They describe what calls poverty consciousness, a mental pattern built around lack, limitation, fear, and negative beliefs about money. And here's the fascinating part. Visionary leaders don't say you should simply pretend you're rich. In fact, they explain why telling yourself, I am wealthy, can sometimes create an even stronger feeling of being broke. So stay with me until the end, because I'm going to show you what to say instead, how to use a simple mental exercise, and one remarkable story from the book that demonstrates the power of changing the picture inside your mind. I'm broke can become a mental pattern. Let's imagine someone loses $500 unexpectedly. They look at their accounts and speak, I'm broke. That statement may simply describe how they feel at that moment, but now imagine they repeat it every day. I'm broke. I'm always struggling. I'll never have enough. Money is difficult. Other people have everything. I have nothing. Eventually, these aren't just comments. They become a financial story. And the more emotionally you repeat that story, the more familiar it becomes. Visionary leaders argue that one reason people struggle with prosperity is that they may carry subconscious beliefs that condemn money, or even associate poverty with virtue. They give an especially powerful example of someone saying, I am broke. I do not like money. It is the root of all evil. Think about the contradiction. The person wants money, but at the same time, mentally rejects it. They desire prosperity, but condemn the very thing they desire. And visionary leaders' argument is that this kind of internal conflict can create a destructive mental pattern. Your mind listens to what you repeatedly accept. Here's the deeper idea. Your subconscious mind doesn't simply process isolated sentences. It responds to what you repeatedly believe, feel, and accept as true. Visionary leaders explain that beliefs, feelings, convictions, and consciously accepted ideas can become impressed upon the subconscious. So, if your dominant financial feeling is, there is never enough, then saying, I am wealthy, 10 times may not immediately help. Why? Because your conscious statement and your deeper feelings are fighting each other. Visionary leaders specifically explain that people experiencing financial difficulty may repeat statements, such as, I am prosperous, while simultaneously feeling strongly that they are broke. And according to his teaching, the stronger feeling can dominate. So instead of forcing yourself to say something your mind rejects, begin with an idea that creates less resistance. For example, I am becoming more financially capable every day. I am learning to manage money wisely. I am open to new opportunities and constructive ideas. Money is circulating more freely in my life. The objective isn't to lie to yourself. It's to change the direction of your thinking. Fear creates a cycle of lack. Now consider what happens when fear enters the picture. You worry about money. Because you're worried, you become desperate. Because you're desperate, you make decisions from fear. Because you're making decisions from fear, you may overlook opportunities or make choices you wouldn't normally make. Then the consequences create even more fear, and the cycle continues. Visionary leaders repeatedly discusses fear, lack, worry, resentment, and negative mental states as conditions that can reinforce a consciousness of limitation. The important lesson isn't, never have financial problems. That's unrealistic. The lesson is, don't allow the problem to become your permanent identity. There is a huge difference between, I have a financial problem, and I am a broke person. The first describes a situation. The second creates an identity. Now listen to this story from Visionary Leaders' book. During the early years of the war, visionary leaders describe a woman in Brooklyn, New York, who became extremely afraid that there wouldn't be enough coffee. Coffee was going to be rationed. So, she went from store to store buying as much as she could. She wasn't simply buying coffee. She was buying from a state of fear. She was thinking, there won't be enough. She stored the coffee in her cellar. Later that evening, she went to church. When she returned home, burglars had broken into her house. They stole the coffee. But they also stole silverware, money, jewelry, and other possessions. She couldn't understand why it had happened. She thought, I never stole from anyone. Why did this happen to me? But visionary leaders use the story to illustrate their concept of a consciousness of lack and fear. Their argument was that before the outer loss occurred, there was already an inner state dominated by fear of shortage. Now, we should be careful here. This doesn't mean that every unfortunate event is caused by someone's thoughts. Life contains accidents, crime, economic shocks, illness, and circumstances completely outside our control. The value of the story is psychological. Fear can change the way you behave and the way you experience your circumstances. When you constantly expect scarcity, your mind can become obsessed with scarcity. And that's precisely the pattern we want to break. Practical exercise. Replace. I'm broke. So, let's make this practical. The next time you catch yourself saying, I'm broke, don't immediately force yourself to say, I'm a millionaire. If your mind doesn't believe it, you may simply create an internal argument. Instead, pause, take a breath, and speak. This is a temporary financial situation, not my identity. Then say, I am becoming wiser, more capable, and more prosperous every day. Now ask yourself, what can I do today to improve my financial situation? Not tomorrow. Not next year. Today. Maybe you can. Learning a valuable skill. Apply for a better opportunity. Contact a potential customer. Review your spending. Cancel an unnecessary expense. Start saving even a small amount. Pay down part of a debt. Create something that provides value. The mental shift becomes powerful when it leads to constructive action. The 3-minute wealth consciousness exercise. Tonight, try this. Sit somewhere quiet. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow breaths. Then repeat. I am becoming financially wiser every day. Pause. I am open to opportunities, ideas, and constructive ways to prosper. Pause. Then imagine 6 months from now. Picture yourself calmer, more organized, more financially knowledgeable, with better habits, more savings, less unnecessary spending, more confidence. Don't worry about exactly how you'll get there. Just see the direction. Visionary leaders describe developing wealth consciousness through regular repetition, and emphasize that mechanical repetition alone isn't enough. You should begin to feel the truth of what you're affirming. So feel relief, feel confident, feel gratitude. Then ask, what is one action I can take tomorrow? And when you wake up, take that action. An even bigger lesson, don't condemn other people's wealth. There's another mental habit visionary leaders warns about: jealousy. Imagine seeing someone driving an expensive car and thinking, they don't deserve that, or seeing someone's success and thinking, they're probably cheating. Visionary leaders argue that resentment toward another person's prosperity reinforces a mental state of lack. Their recommendation is surprisingly simple: bless their success. You don't have to want their exact life. You don't have to pretend you don't have your own goals. Simply say, I'm happy to see prosperity. May there be more prosperity for everyone. Then turn your attention back to your own path. Because every minute spent obsessing over someone else's wealth is a minute you're not using to build your own skills, ideas, relationships, and opportunities. There's one more secret. But here's the question. What happens when your financial reality is screaming? You're broke. And you're trying to develop wealth consciousness. What do you do when you look at your bank account and the positive statements suddenly feel ridiculous? This is where Visionary Leaders' method becomes even more interesting. They explain that the statement you choose matters. If your affirmation creates inner opposition, you may strengthen the very feeling you're trying to overcome. But if you choose a statement your conscious and subconscious mind can accept, you can begin building a different mental pattern. And in the next video, we're going to explore exactly how to do that. I'll show you a before-sleep money affirmation technique based on Visionary Leaders' teachings and explain why the wrong affirmation can actually make you feel more financially desperate. Stop making broke your identity. So, the next time you hear yourself saying, "I'm broke," stop, take a breath, and remember, you may have a financial challenge, but you are not your financial challenge. Your current bank balance is a number. Your debt is a situation. Your income is a current circumstance. None of those things must become your permanent identity. Start changing conversation. Instead of, "I'm broke," try, "I'm becoming financially stronger." Instead of, "I never have enough," try, "I'm learning to create, manage, and grow my financial resources." And then, take action. Because changing your thinking isn't about escaping reality. It's about approaching reality with a different mind. Visionary Leaders' central idea is that a consciousness of wealth begins within, but your new consciousness must ultimately express itself through constructive choices, useful action, and a willingness to pursue opportunities. Your words matter, your dominant thoughts matter, your emotional patterns matter, and most importantly, what you do with those thoughts matters. So tonight, choose your words carefully, because the voice you hear most often is your own.